The morning sun spilled like golden honey over the small town of Ashford, Virginia. Dew still clung to the leaves of the park across the street, and the smell of roasted coffee drifted out from Marlowe's diner, a quiet place where stories often began and ended without anyone noticing. Inside, Ethan Cole, a 32-year-old single father, sat at a booth with his 7-year-old son, Liam. Ethan was a construction worker, hands rough, heart soft, and this diner had become their weekend ritual after the early school soccer practice. Liam's laughter filled the booth as their waitress placed down plates piled high with crispy fried chicken and golden fries. Ethan grinned. "Go ahead, buddy. You earned it," he said, watching his son dive into the meal like it was treasure. Outside, a dark SUV pulled into the lot. From it stepped a woman in a deep blue U.S. military uniform, metals glinting faintly in the light. Her posture was upright, almost regal, but her eyes carried something quiet, something heavy. That woman was General Amelia Rhodes, one of the most respected 4-star generals in the U.S. Air Force. She wasn't supposed to be noticed. She wasn't supposed to stop here. But she had a little passenger with her, her 5-year-old daughter, Grace, and Grace had been hungry. They entered the diner softly, almost invisible among the chatter. Amelia guided Grace to a corner booth, away from the windows. She removed her cap and placed it beside her, then looked down at the child with a tired smile. "Sweetheart, we'll just have a small bite, okay? We've got to be at the base soon." Grace nodded, clutching a small camera, a gift from her late father, who had been a military photographer. The waitress brought menus, but Amelia waved them off gently. "Just coffee for me. Maybe a small plate of fries for her." But Grace's eyes wandered, drawn to the table across the diner, where Liam's plate overflowed with fried chicken and fries. She didn't say a word, but her gaze lingered in a way that only a hungry child's could. Ethan noticed. He saw the way Grace looked, then looked away quickly, embarrassed. He recognized that look. It was the same one Liam used to give when times were tough, before Ethan got back on his feet. And in that moment, something in Ethan's heart stirred. He whispered to the waitress, "Excuse me, could you bring another full meal?" "Same as ours, but don't tell them it's from me." The waitress nodded softly. When the meal arrived at their table, Amelia frowned, confused. "I didn't order this." The waitress smiled. "A gentleman said to tell you." "Thank you for your service." Grace's little face lit up as she stared at the food, golden, warm, and almost too good to be true. Amelia looked around the diner, her eyes resting briefly on Ethan's table. He gave the smallest of nods before turning back to Liam, pretending not to notice her. She smiled faintly, her throat tightening. She hadn't expected kindness, not today. By noon, the diner had filled with the rhythm of life. The hiss of the coffee machine, the laughter of passing travelers, the hum of traffic outside, all of it blended into a gentle symphony of ordinary moments. Amelia's phone buzzed. A message from headquarters. "Your presence required at Arlington Air Base in 2 hours." She sighed. She hadn't told anyone she was returning from overseas early. She wanted to surprise her team quietly. No ceremonies, no cameras. But after months away in conflict zones, her daughter's wide smile across the table felt more like home than any medal ever could. Ethan, meanwhile, was packing up his son's backpack when Liam whispered, "Dad, that lady in the uniform, she looks like she's sad." Ethan glanced over. Grace was showing her mother photos she'd taken with her little camera. Flowers, cars, even a helicopter from the park nearby. Amelia was listening, but her eyes seemed distant. "Maybe she misses someone," Ethan said quietly. Liam thought for a moment, then stood up, clutching one of his fries. "I'll go give her one." Before Ethan could stop him, Liam walked right over and said, "Hi, ma'am. Thank you for helping our country. You can have one of my fries if you want." The whole diner went silent for a moment. Amelia blinked, taken aback, then laughed softly, touched. "Well, that's very generous, young man. But you better keep that fry. You look like you need it more than me. Liam shook his head. My dad says sharing food makes your heart stronger. Amelia smiled, and Grace giggled. Soon the two kids were chatting like old friends, comparing pictures and stories about school and pets. Ethan approached, smiling awkwardly. Sorry about that. He's not shy. No need to apologize, Amelia said warmly. Your son just made our day. They talked for a few minutes, about weather, schools, and how small towns like Ashford had a way of making people slow down and breathe again. Then Amelia looked at Ethan and said quietly, You didn't have to pay for our meal. Ethan shrugged. I didn't have to. But I wanted to. I know what it's like trying to do your best for your kid when the world's heavier than it looks. For a moment neither said anything. Just silence, heavy but peaceful. Then the waitress came with the bill, and Amelia tried to slip some money under the plate. But Ethan stopped her hand. Let me keep this one, he said gently. Just pay it forward when it feels right. Amelia nodded, her eyes glistening. You've got yourself a promise, Mr. Cole. Ethan Cole. General Amelia Rhodes, she replied, shaking his hand firmly. And this little hero is Grace. Before leaving, Amelia reached into her uniform pocket and handed Liam a small silver coin. This is a challenge coin, she explained. It's something we give for bravery and kindness. And today you've shown both. Liam beamed, holding the coin like treasure. As they walked out, the sunlight reflected off Amelia's SUV, casting a soft glow through the diner window. Ethan watched them go, unaware that this moment would ripple far beyond that day. 3 weeks later, Ethan was finishing up a job at a construction site near Washington, D.C. The work was rough, the days long, but every evening he carried the memory of that diner morning in his heart. Then one afternoon, a black military helicopter flew low across the site. The noise turned every head skyward. Ethan squinted. It landed nearby at the community field. Moments later, from the chopper stepped General Amelia Rhodes. The men around Ethan stood frozen, unsure why such a high-ranking officer was here. But Amelia wasn't looking for soldiers, she was looking for one man. She spotted Ethan by the concrete mixer and walked toward him with purpose, her cap under her arm. Grace was beside her, camera swinging around her neck. Mr. Cole, she said, smiling. You told me to pay it forward. I thought I'd start with you. Ethan blinked, speechless. Amelia explained that she'd arranged for a military community grant to fund local child care support for working single parents, starting with Ashford. Your kindness reminded me what service really means, she said softly. It's not the medals. It's moments like that. Liam came running from behind a pile of gravel, shouting, Grace! The two kids hugged like they'd been friends for years. Ethan looked at Amelia and said, You didn't have to do this. I didn't have to, she replied. But I wanted to. That evening, as the sun set behind the city skyline, the four of them sat on the back of a pickup truck, watching the helicopters fade into the distance. Around them, life buzzed, the sound of buses, motorbikes, and the hum of a world that still had hope in it. Amelia said quietly, Funny how a small act can change everything. Ethan nodded. Yeah. It's like kindness travels faster than any aircraft. Grace took a picture of them together, the two parents, 2 kids, and a golden horizon. Later that photo went viral online under the caption, Kindness doesn't need a uniform, just a heart. And in a world full of hurry, that small diner in Ashford became known as the place where a general and a single dad reminded everyone what humanity really looked like. The story of Ethan, Amelia, Grace, and Liam is a reminder that kindness can bridge worlds, between strangers, between uniforms and work boots, between what we give and what we receive. Sometimes, the smallest gesture, a shared meal, a warm smile, a simple thank you, can heal a heart we didn't know was breaking. So next time you see someone quietly struggling, remember, your kindness might be the story they carry forever. Dear viewers, if this story touched your heart, please leave a comment below and tell us how you have experienced or witnessed a random act of kindness. Don't forget to like, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness Quest, for more real, heartwarming stories that restore faith in humanity. Because sometimes, the world doesn't need more heroes, it just needs more kindness.